Good morning. Welcome to As Goes Wisconsin on this blustery, rainy, kind of icky Friday the 13th. Calvin is on the board. My friend Carole Kane across from me here in the studio, live from downtown Waukesha at our studio, WAUK. It is Friday the 13th.
It is Friday the 13th.
And you found a great article that we're going to talk about in the next half hour.
About why we're afraid of Friday the 13th?
Where did this all start? Because I am not personally superstitious.
No, I'm not either.
But I know there are people who certainly are and take stuff like that very seriously.
Yeah. I mean, well, triskaidekaphobia.
Well done.
Stand back. I'm a professional. I'm not at all superstitious either. I had 2 black cats. It's whatever.
Yeah.
The only thing, and we can get to it once we get to this thing. The only thing that I do is if I spill salt, I throw it over my shoulder.
Do you?
Yeah.
Did your mom teach you that?
No, I think Lou did.
Interesting.
I don't know why. It's supposed to be like warding off something. I just throw a little bit over my shoulder, and I come to rue it because I'm the one that has to pick it up.
Now I have to go sweep up the salt.
I know. Exactly.
Well, we'll start kicking that around coming up at 10:33. Busy hour next hour with lots and lots of guests.
Yeah.
Dr. Michael McCutcheon will be here to fix your life. So if you have relationship questions or career questions or life coachy kind of questions, Dr. Mike is the guy that you want to talk to. And then Tim McCormick. I'm sure you've talked to Tim over the years.
I'm sure.
From the Harley-Davidson Museum. We're going to talk to Tim in the second hour about they have some really fun stuff coming up at the Harley Museum for Halloween and other events.
Just overall, it's one of the premier destinations, really. If you haven't seen the Harley Museum,
it's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
And motor is delicious.
That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, Tim Nicosia, who is with the Friends of Prairie Cemetery, they have an unveiling of a canine officer monument that's going to happen tomorrow. Unfortunately, the weather's not going to be great.
No,
but they're having a pet walk, and there's going to be the unveiling of this monument. So Tim's going to join us.
Oh, good.
In the very last segment.
Yeah.
That's something that's happening tomorrow here in Waukesha. But to start things off this hour, I wanted to talk about Republicans in disarray.
Well, they've been a mess for a while. They can't seem to figure it out. And, I think, I don't know why it gets to this cluster, if you will. They just can't seem to agree on anything.
That's within their own caucus.
Right. I mean, the problem is that how do you expect to get anything done when even in your own party, you can't figure it out? I seriously, I don't know. How do you expect to work with the Democrats if even in your own party, you can't figure it out? And listen, I was raised in a very conservative family. So, I mean, when my mom died, I found her Nixon button.
That she obviously kept proudly.
Right. Well, but I can see both sides here, but I just don't know why you don't see how completely unfortunate you are.
Well, and how bad it looks. Not just to the rest of the country, but to the rest of the world. Especially with everything going on right now in Israel and Ukraine and all of that. So just to recap a little bit. So House Republicans blew out Speaker McCarthy after 18 whole months, or was it even 18 months?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. So they blew out Kevin McCarthy without any obvious replacement that everyone could agree on. Steve Scalise, who was supposed to be the front runner, did not get enough votes last night, so he stepped out of the race. Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, among several other Republicans, checking in and saying she can't vote for Steve Scalise because he has a form of blood cancer that he's fighting. And so he needs to back out of the race and take care of himself.
Well, I'm not going to I'm actually not going to vote again.
But if he feels he is up to it.
I understand that if he personally thinks that he's up to it, I guess, but that worm can turn really quickly.
Granted.
Granted. Then what do we do?
Right. Well, there is an article in Politico today talking about what kinds of options there are as this mess continues in the Republican House. So here are a couple different things.
Okay.
One thing is to former President Trump. They could just install former President Trump, because you do not have to be a speaker in order. You don't have to be a member of the House in order to be speaker. However, House rules do prohibit someone with major criminal indictments from holding a House leadership role. So he's only facing 91 indictments. I don't know. Maybe that comes in under the wire.
I don't want him there anyhow.
The second idea is for Kevin McCarthy to be reinstated, which he just got booted last week. I can't imagine that Matt Gaetz and these others who were behind his ouster are going to say, yeah, let's bring him back because we look bad and we look like we don't know what we're doing. No, that's not going to happen.
No, that's dumb.
That's not going to happen.
No,
the third idea, and this is what really jumped out at me, a small handful of more vulnerable House Republicans could cut a deal with Democrats to nominate a consensus speaker in return for a bipartisan governing arrangement. And I saw this pop up on Twitter yesterday from several Republican lawmakers. We need House Democrats to come across the aisle and help us. Should they? That's my question. Should Democrats help the Republicans straighten out this mess?
Okay, well, I'm just going to take it down to a baseline and just say, I wouldn't be sad if they helped out, because at least it's in the spirit of cooperation, and maybe it's a step in the right direction so we can get some kind of like working agreement between the two sides, instead of each one always, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. You know, at some point in time, some concession is going to have to, it's like, you know, it's like bickering children. You know, when I was a mom, or I still am a mom, what am I saying? But like, if my kids were fighting, it's like, okay, you go off into that corner, you go off into that corner, and then in about a half an hour, you're going to kiss and make up, and we're going to be a nice little family again. So sometimes I think little steps like this might put us in the right direction. I know you disagree with me on that.
Well, no, I think compromise is really critical. But I also feel that the Clown Car Caucus is the one that got themselves into this mess. They have not necessarily always negotiated with Democrats in good faith.
No, I'm not. And I agree with you.
And have made deals and then reneged on these deals. So I just think there would be a lot of hesitation. Why would we do this for you? 844-967-2789, 844-96-party. Should Democrats help House Republicans get a speaker elected? And if so, who should that be? Because I've also seen it suggested that Hakeem Jeffries, who is a Democrat, they'd probably go along with that. Sure. If the House Republicans want to go along with House Democrats and put Hakeem Jeffries in there, I think Democrats would do that, but no Republican's going to do that.
Well, but you know, I don't know. Because if they're asking for help, you have to accept the help and work with them and figure out if this is the guy they want, then you got to figure it out. I don't know. This is something that, you know, this is why I'm not on Capitol Hill. Because at some point in time, I think they do need a mom. They need a mom figure. That God knows with the debates, we needed a mom to get on the stage and go, shut up.
Absolutely. And get some duct tape and wash their mouths out with soap.
So I just sometimes think you need that mom figure to come in and go, all right,
enough.
I've had enough. This is ridiculous. So in that regard, I kind of hope they do. Because it might be a step in the right direction. I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm so anxious to find some cooperation anywhere.
Yeah, so we can get something done. 844-967-2789, 844-96-party. We have Brian from Aguanago is on the line. Good morning, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
What do you think about Democrats stepping across the aisle to help out the Republicans in the House?
Good morning. Yes, I believe it's the morning. I have an easy solution for them. Since there is no speaker, they can't enact any legislation. And even when they had a speaker, they couldn't enact any legislation anyway. So, no, Democrats should not step across the aisle to help them out of their own mess. But the easy solution is all the Republicans should just resign. Since they're not passing any legislation anyway, they're not doing their job. Or, if possible, we could just fire them and then just get some new blood in there. And hopefully that'll, some younger generation members in there, and that might help the process.
All right.
At least, that's my idea.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. Really appreciate it. 844-967-2789. You can call. You can text if you are watching the live stream. You can also leave a comment there. Texter from the 541. Who can the House Democrats trust in the Republican Party? And unfortunately, I think that's a big issue. Again,
that's a big issue.
Why would I trust you?
Mm-hmm. Well, once again, that's something that I understand the opinion, but once again, somebody's got to start trusting somebody
and be the grown-ups.
Yes. So I know it's a very difficult issue and it's very polarizing and a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. But I just think somewhere along the line, we have to have the spirit of cooperation somewhere. It's got to start somewhere.
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. We will take your calls. We will take your texts on the other side of the break. Don't go away. Stay with us. This is As Goes Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bry. Calvin, we're glad you're young is here on the board, and Carole Kane, my friend and colleague sitting across from me.
Yep.
Live in the studio at WAUK in downtown Waukesha, we're talking about the continued Republican disarray in the House. They can't elect a speaker. It just doesn't seem like it's the whoop whoop boing caucus. They're the three stooges of politicians.
They just can't. I don't know why they can't collect themselves together. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's been this way for a while.
Yes, it has been this way for a while.
Once again, I agree with you. It is like a clown car. It's just like, come on, people. We elected you for a reason.
To get something done.
Yes.
To get something done on behalf of, your constituents. Crazy thought.
Yeah.
Crazy thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Some Republicans yesterday suggesting that Democrats should be the ones to cross the aisle and help Republicans get a speaker elected. And we're just curious, should we make that deal? Is that a good deal? Do we want to do that deal? Texter from the 630, Andrew from Verona, says the Democrats better ask for a very sweet deal if we are going to help them out. And again, if the Democrats come in with a whole bunch of demands, I can't imagine that the Republicans are going to say, you're right, here, take this.
Well, it would be whatever the demands are. And I think that probably will be what would happen if they decide to cross over and help. They will ask for the world and they'll get it. They'll probably get it.
You think so? I don't know.
If they're that desperate for help, it just you never know.
But I think
you're a drowning person and they're throwing you a life raft. Maybe you better grab it.
But I think some of them embrace the chaos. And that's why Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and even Jim Jordan are there. Jim Jordan has been in office for I can't remember how long. I don't think he's ever passed or had a co-sponsored bill pass ever. He's never gotten anything done.
Okay.
Texter 541, the fact that the majority of House GOP voted for Scalise over Jordan, and yet members of the party would not stand behind the majority vote shows how entitled some members feel, and they are in the wrong job. And with 216 votes cast, it's really tough to claim the vote was rigged by your own party.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
No, it's not wrong. It will be interesting to see what happens today over the course of the day. I think they might have already adjourned. So they're in closed door sessions,
right,
as they try and hash this out,
right.
But I'm always curious to see how quickly they will adjourn so they can start their weekends.
Oh, well,
they got second homes to go to, Carole. They're busy people. They have a beach property that needs tending because the lawn hasn't been mowed, and they need to make sure the help is mowing the lawn.
Okay.
And before we're going to wrap up this segment, and I just want to reference something that we did yesterday. We started off yesterday talking about bad boys.
Yes.
And we were talking specifically about Wisconsin's third congressional district Republican Derek Van Orden.
Right, who went off.
And his bad behavior yet again. And George Santos as well, the Republican from New York, who has basically lied about everything and was just indicted for basically stealing from his donors and stealing their credit card information, and yet no calls from anyone on the Republican side that maybe you should consider resigning or stepping down. On the flip side, we have Bob Menendez, who's a Democrat from New York.
Yeah.
He was already indicted at the end of September. He and his wife basically accused of working on behalf of the Egyptian government.
Right.
In exchange for, I don't know, gold bars and $450,000 in cash just lying around the house. Well, another superseding indictment came down on Menendez yesterday.
When he's denying any wrongdoing.
Oh, yeah. He says, I'm not going anywhere. I didn't do anything. But on the flip side, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, many of Menendez's Democratic colleagues in the Senate are calling for him to resign, including New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania said we cannot have an alleged foreign agent in the U.S. Senate. Representative Andy Kim, on Democrat from New Jersey, who said he will be running for Menendez's seat, echoed Fetterman's call for an expulsion. Isn't that the responsible thing? I mean, again, I want the guy to go to trial. I'm not saying lock him up without going through due process.
So was the straw, was it because he was working for a foreign government?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the big straw, not the gold bars and all the money.
Well, the whole bribery thing is kind of bad too.
Yeah.
Being bought off with wads of cash.
Listen, I think this is responsible. I do. I think this is absolutely responsible, and it is warranted. And but he's going to sit, and he may go to trial. I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows? Maybe he'll walk away. I seriously doubt it. Because he's just going to sit there and go, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
That seems to be the MO now, is when you get caught, even if you're caught red-handed, even if he was caught accepting gold bars from, an Egyptian foreign agent, it's just double down and say, yeah, it's fine. I didn't
What's that in your hand, Bob?
What hand? I don't see anything. I don't have anything. What are you talking about?
I know. It's, but at least culpability. Let's just make them pay for what
it's accountability.
Right. Yeah.
Accountability. So yes, I want him to have his due process, but at the same time, I think he should certainly not be serving on any committees in the Senate. If they suspect he's working on the side of Egypt, that seems bad.
Boy, I go back to what I say all the time. All the time. I think Washington corrupts completely. Even if you went there with the best of intentions, once you get there, look out.
All bets are off. All right, we're going to change gears when we get back from the bottom of the hour news. It's Friday the 13th. Why does that freak us out? Some of us, anyway.
Yeah.
That's on the way. You're listening to As Goes Wisconsin. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnier.
I can't tell you how many times I danced to this song down at Park Avenue when Park Avenue was open downtown.
Oh, I remember that. Yes, Jane Matnier in for Kristen Bry. Calvin is on the board. Carole Kane is here live in studio in downtown Waukesha. I just want to remind you that Dr. Michael McCutcheon will be here to fix your life coming up right after 11 o'clock at 11:06. And then Tim McCormick joining us at 11:30 from the Harley-Davidson Museum in Milwaukee to tell us all the things that are going to
really fun stuff.
Some really fun stuff, especially if you're a pet owner. And they've got some pet stuff coming up. So we will have all those details coming up. It is Friday the 13th.
It is Friday the 13th. And I found this article and I thought it was fascinating because it's like, why are we so freaked out about Friday the 13th? Why do we have this? I swear to God, Jane, that's why my ride in today from Mequon, I think, was probably as smooth as it was, even with the rain. I think people just are freaked out and they just want to stay home.
I'm sure there are some people who are.
That get really, really weird about it,
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually, and the article was fascinating to me because it basically kind of took everything back to the biblical times, in the fact that everything went to hell in a handbasket at that Last Supper when Judas showed up.
He threw the numbers off.
He threw the number. He's the 13th. He was the 13th one to join the Last Supper.
Okay.
And then subsequently, after he joined the Last Supper, he was the 13th. Jesus was crucified on a Friday. So they think that there's some kind of connection there. They also take the connection back to Adam and Eve because it was a Friday that she apparently gave Adam the apple from the tree of knowledge, and it was a Friday where Cain murdered Abel.
How do we know it was a Friday?
I don't, listen, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible.
It says it was a Friday?
Yes.
When Cain killed Abel?
Yes.
I'm going to have to go back and look that up.
And so, in addition, you're talking about, we obviously know all about the movie and things like that. It's just got a negative connotation. And when you mix the 13, and the 13, they say, according to this article, it was, it's unfamiliar to us. It's odd for us. We like things to be really even and tidy up, like
so we're freaked out by odd numbers?
Yes, because like a baker's dozen. A baker's dozen is weird to us because it's what's that last donut doing there? Why? Also in Norse mythology, once again, Loki,
he was naughty.
Right, he's the god of mischief. He showed up and was the 13th guest, and once again, everything went to hell in a handbasket. So I think you put all of these things together, and people get superstitious and they worry about that it's a Friday and it's the 13th. And we're all very familiar with the fact that very few hotels have a 13th floor.
Right.
Because people won't stay on it.
Right.
There are a lot of airlines that don't even have a 13th row because people would be so freaked out. So, it's all that kind of put together. And I think it's that little bit of a snowball rolling down the hill.
Yeah.
It just escalates in people's heads that this is bad news.
And it's lasted for so long, I guess, is what I find so interesting.
Right.
844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY if you want to call and or text. Are you superstitious? Do you have the willies today because it's Friday the 13th? Bill from Conomowoc is on the line. Good morning, Bill. What do you think?
Hi, Bill.
Good morning, guys, girls, ladies. Excuse me. Those people that are affected by that, I can tell you what news station they listen to. They listen to Fox because Fox sells fear by the pound, by the carload, and they can bring in a tanker full of it if you want to buy it. Now, anybody can look at the situations going on now and be fearful about it, but I was fortunate, I believe, in 1967 when war broke out in Israel. I was 18 years old, and my grandmother was reading to me out of the Bible about the end times and what that meant. Now, we're still around today. I believe the sun will come up on Saturday morning. There'll be food on the shelves, and all those people that were worried about today, we're also worried about the year 2000, because no computer is going to figure that out.
Right.
And for your answer about calendars in biblical times, I don't think laying calendars were around
that. Thank you, Bill. Always appreciate you checking in. 844-967-2789. It's Friday the 13th. How do you feel about that?
I'm like I said, the only thing that I do is when I spill salt, I'll pick a little up and I throw it over my shoulder. Lou told me that. I'm not exactly sure what I'm accomplishing. I don't know if it's warding off something but like the Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah.
I'm all in on those.
Really?
I love to be scared.
Oh, see, and I don't like that stuff.
I love to be scared. And I know it's kind of a slasher film, but Friday the 13th, that's iconic with that movie series.
Right.
So I don't know. I think that I'm with Bill. The sun will come up tomorrow and it'll be fine. But I do think it does. I would really seriously say it probably started with that Judas, the story of Judas showing up and being the 13th, and then Christ being.
Well, actually, Loki would be first if that came from Norse mythology,
right,
and then translated into the Bible,
right,
with Judas being the 13th one. 844-967-2789. Good morning, John from Boaz. How are you, sir?
Hi.
Hi. I have one for you that reaches back a long ways. And I think 13 is a prime number. So now I'm going to ask you, ladies, because you're born in the last century, about superstition. Don't step on a crack or you'll break your mother's back.
You know what? I used to do that when I was a kid. I would make sure that I didn't step on a crack.
I think we all did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ben from, I'm not sure where he went. Ben from West Bend.
It's Friday the 13th.
Good morning, Ben. How you doing?
Hi, Ben.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing pretty good, October. Actually, I was born on Friday the 13th in January. That's my actual birthday. In 78, I was born on Friday the 13th. So, but the other thing, I think I know why they deem it bad luck, because one of the popes, when the Knights of Templar were actually grazing in power, one of the popes had the Knights of Templar executed on October the 13th, on Friday the 13th. That's what deemed it bad. That's the actual, when we started deeming it bad, I think that's when, in modern history, what I call it, that's when we actually said it was bad.
Oh.
I've never heard that.
Me neither.
I've never heard that.
That's new. You know what? You learn something new every day.
And do you know why Carole throws salt over her shoulder? Because we're still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, well, with my luck lately, too, I don't gamble. So, I don't have any good luck either. So, I just don't gamble or anything. But the only good luck I have, I can't say it, but, I have a clean driving record. So, that's about it. But the rest of it, I don't have luck at all.
Well, hang in there, Ben. Tomorrow is another day. The sun will come up tomorrow.
I think, yeah, no kidding. I think there's something like it's unlucky spilling the salt. I think that's kind of what it is. You spilled the salt and that brings bad luck. So in order to ward off the bad luck, you throw it over. Listen, it's irrational.
That makes no sense.
I know.
You spilled salt, so now I'm going to spill more salt to protect me from the badness of the salt.
What about me even indicates sense? Seriously.
Thank you for calling, Ben. 844-967-2789. 844-96-party. Are you superstitious? Today is Friday the 13th. Will it prevent you from doing something today? Will it encourage you to do something today? A texter from the 612 says, does the Friday the 13th relate to the fact that the Republicans can't elect a speaker?
It could be. That means they're not going to get anything done today, for sure.
How is that different from any other day?
I know, exactly. A superstition says spilling salt will bring you bad fortune. As legend has it, you take a pinch of the spilled salt and throw it over your left shoulder to cancel the bad luck. The left shoulder was where the devil was supposed to be sitting, and tossing salt in the devil's eyes kept the devil away.
So it's to blind the devil.
Yes.
Couldn't you just knock him off your shoulder? Wouldn't that be more direct?
You know what? I got to be honest with you. That little devil that's sitting on my shoulder has given me an awful lot of fun.
Where would the joy in life be without that little sucker sitting up there whispering a couple notions?
Right. You want to know, and this is an aside, but you probably don't know this, but at one point in time for the Marcus Theaters, I did me and another guy, we did the opening scene, and he was the devil on the shoulder and I was the angel on the shoulder, and we were whispering into this patron's ear to turn off his phone.
Oh, how funny, Carole.
Yeah, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was the angel. Wrong.
Wrong role.
Wrong casting.
Miscasting. That's all right.
Exactly.
I'm curious about other superstitions too. The one that my mother-in-law taught me, again relating to salt,
okay,
was you could never pass a salt shaker from hand to hand. you had to set down. If somebody at the table asked for salt, you could put it in front of them, but you couldn't hand it to them. Because that was bad luck.
Really?
That was bad luck. And I have no idea where that came from, but she was adamant about that.
Really? Wow.
And
okay.
The other superstition my mother-in-law had was you could not do laundry on New Year's Day, because if you did laundry on New Year's Day, you would wash away all the good luck.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting.
Again.
Right.
Really?
Well, but and here I just looked up this whole list of superstitions. Why do we knock on wood? Why do we do that? It's like, I'm knocking on wood. Hopefully that
will, right. It's supposed to cancel out bad luck.
Here's the throwing the salt over the shoulder. So I'm not so crazy now, am I?
I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm really not. I'm always curious where these things came from.
Do you walk under a ladder? That's Egyptian. I don't walk under a ladder just because I'm afraid I'm going to hurt myself.
Exactly. I'm afraid it's going to collapse on me or something.
Right.
But not because I think it's bad luck.
What about if you break a mirror? Do you think that brings you bad luck?
No.
Okay.
Especially not the way I look these days.
What about... Stop it.
Good.
Stop
One less reminder.
What about black cats? Do they freak you out?
No, I love black cats.
Yeah, no, I Jasper and Cleopatra, I had 2 of them.
Well, and I think one of the reasons why I am not superstitious is because I grew up above a morgue.
Oh,
our father was a mortician. Dad was a mortician.
I keep forgetting that.
We had caskets in the basement. It's my father was very. I asked him once when I was very, very small if I had to worry about mutant dead people walking around downstairs.
That had to be tough.
And he was very direct, and he said, "Peanut, I promise you, when I'm done with them, they're really dead. Nobody is going anywhere."
I will say that's so funny. My father was a pharmacist, whole different upbringing.
Oh yeah.
I do have in my house, because I just saw the lucky horseshoe. I do have a horseshoe in one of my bedrooms above the door. That's
for good luck.
Yes. So I'm starting to find out I'm weirder than I thought I was.
Might have a few more of those superstitions hanging on you than you thought.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are coming up to the break. When we come back, more evidence that Taylor Swift is ultimately going to save the world.
She's a genius.
She is a genius. We'll kick that around. Coming up next, you are listening to As Goes Wisconsin. Stay with us. We are on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. Jane Matnair in for Kristen Bry. Calvin is on the board. Carole Kane across from me in the studio. Happy Friday the 13th, about 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. Want to remind you, Dr. Michael McCutcheon will be joining us at 11:06. Dr. Mike will be here to fix your life and your lineup. And we had a good text that came in from the 541. Hey, can we send Dr. Michael to Washington for a few days? They could use him.
Once again, they need all the help they can get their hands on.
They need some relationship counseling in Washington, D.C., without a doubt.
It's just, what's so depressing to me is that's the thing. Be adults. Be adults. You look like you're an idiot. You look like idiots, 1. And 2, you look like, what is this? A 5-year-old playground? You're going to take your ball and go home? What's wrong with you?
But that kind of behavior is what gets clicks and what gets you on TV.
I know.
We have been rewarding bad behavior
since the Kardashians came into our life.
Since Survivor started.
I know.
That's when the whole dynamic. I truly blame it on reality television and how we embraced winning at all costs, cheating no matter what. In order to win, everything was fine.
Undercutting,
lying, backstabbing.
Yeah,
we started celebrating that, and we have never stopped.
No,
since then.
You're not wrong.
And so now again, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Boberts, the worse they behave, and the Bobert and Marjorie Taylor Greene got into a shouting match on the House floor, calling each other the B word.
I don't know how to explain her. I just can't.
Which one?
Marjorie.
Okay.
Just because she's so offensive to me overall, just so offensive. And it's just, I don't advocate violence, but every now and then when she opens her mouth, I wish I was there to slap her across the face. That's awful, isn't it? All right, let's talk Taylor Swift.
All right. She's going to save the world. Taylor Swift's concert never made it here. The Eras Tour did not make it to Wisconsin this year, but her movie opened yesterday.
Yes, it did.
And from what I understand, this movie is essentially just the Eras concert. It's almost 3 hours long.
I was going to say it's 2:48.
Yeah,
I think it's 2 hours and 48 minutes, and they are encouraging people to stand and dance
and behave like you're at
a concert. Sure. And, take your phone out. I think I even heard that there might be like merch tables so you can buy stuff.
Oh, boy.
I mean, seriously, this woman knows how to make a buck.
Absolutely.
And theaters are sold out.
And so grateful for her.
Yeah.
So grateful for her. Theaters have been struggling.
I was going to say, didn't they say that this might be the ticket to save the movie industry this year?
Well, the movie, the tour alone has already made over $1 billion. And I think it's estimated that the movie is going to make $1 billion too.
Yeah. Yeah. She's no dummy.
She isn't. And that trickles down into theater workers and even, concert venue workers and area restaurants. And she has actually affected the global economy.
Right.
Taylor Swift and Beyonce.
Now, and in all honesty, neither one of them are my cup of tea.
Right.
But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If I had a 13-year-old girl who wanted to go see the movie, at least I know that she's going to at least see something that's going to be fun, and not going to be some gratuitous.
Right.
Listen to me. I just talking about the Friday the 13th movies, but some gratuitous sex or gratuitous violence or whatever. It's just a wholesome, go get some popcorn, pull out your phone.
Sing with your girlfriends.
Have a great time.
Yep.
And
exchange your friendship bracelets.
Right, exactly. So the celebrities that are going to this thing, like I saw an article about, it was Adam Sandler and Maren Morris and a bunch of them. They're packing the theaters too.
That's great.
Because they just want to go and see this thing. And if you haven't been able to see the concert, I don't know how much her concerts go for. The tickets are probably pretty
really expensive.
I was going to say probably pretty pricey.
Very expensive.
This is a really nice way for just the price of a movie ticket to go and see this if you can't go and see her in person.
Absolutely. 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. Cindy from Appleton is on the phone. Good morning, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hello. I think it's $800 to $1,000 to get a ticket to see her, which is way out of my price range.
Whoa.
But, you guys have probably a better spin on this than I do because I am so tired of all these people making so much money that I will not go see this just because I don't think she needs any more money. And I just think, how much money do these people have to make?
I hear you, Cindy. I think our priorities as far as what we value, and that includes celebrities and athletes and all of these things. And then we look at how we treat our teachers.
Right.
And the people in the medical profession.
Yep.
And I do think we've had our priorities screwed up for a long time.
But the one important thing that you said, Jane and Cindy, you have to agree with us on this one, is the fact that this helps sustain regular Joes that are working at the theater and,
at those concert venues.
Right. Exactly. So in that regard, and who knows, maybe she'll turn around and donate a bunch of, maybe she'll turn around and donate the money to the humanitarian aid that's needed overseas. She seems like that kind of gal.
She does.
So I don't know.
Yeah, she really does.
Yeah.
But no, I feel you, Cindy. I felt the same way. I wanted to see the Eagles forever. And this is even 20 years ago. And they went out on another farewell final tour.
Sure.
And the tickets were $400. And I'm like, Don Henley does not need my money.
No.
None of those guys need my money.
Well, I paid $250 a ticket to go see Paul McCartney. And he doesn't need my money either, but he was on my bucket list and I wanted to see him.
Right. Thank you for the call, Cindy.
Thanks,
really
Cindy.
appreciate it. Have a good weekend. 844-967-2789, 844-96-PARTY. You can call and or text, or you can leave a comment on the live stream. You can watch us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all the places where those things happen.
I know. I went into radio for a business, so the fact that you got these cameras on me, I'm like, what the heck?
I know. That's why when you tune in and you look at the live stream, it's like, oh, that's why they both went into radio. We understand that now. All right, we're going to go to the top of the hour news. When we come back, Dr. Mike will be here to fix your life and your lineup. Please stay with us. This is As Goes Wisconsin. We are on the Civic Media.